Hi all. So far we have done export the configuration. Now we are in the stage of deploying SRM 8.3 Photon appliance, right? So let's go to the SRM appliance software. We got VMware SRM. I have different versions, 8.3. We're going to deploy this one, right? So the way you do this is, it's not like I've seen some places, some engineers where they have attempted to do, create a VM and mount this ISO. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to deploy this as OVF. The way you deploy this as OVF is first you got to mount the CD, right, or the ISO, and you see these files, right? Just keep that of your mind. So now we're going to deploy OVF template, and you go local and select the files. Now this is where you go and select all those files. That's how you would deploy the SRM appliance, right? Go next, and the name. So because our Windows version was called Sydney Nutanix SRA 2, and I still have it on the vcent, and I don't want to delete it. I can't delete it because if I have roll back, I need that Windows instance, right? So I'm going to go with the name of /app. It's not ideal, but I don't have a choice. There are ways subsequent later when we know everything is working, so that this can be converted back to SRM02 without that. That's effectively by doing a storage motion to a different data store and bringing it back. But that's a separate session. I can show you how that's done. So we go next, and we are effectively putting it in the Nutanix cluster. I only have one node in the cluster. Now it's effectively validating that OVF files just to make confirm that they're all good. Let's just give a little while for it to come back. Okay, so it's nothing. So just pay attention here, right? There's a 1.3 gig, thin and a thick one. I prefer this to be a thin. So I think we will get an option later on changing that format. So because this is a lab environment, I will just go with 2 vCPUs. In a production, it will go with 4. And I'll be effectively putting this appliance on this data store. I don't want to put it in the Nutanix _ data store because that's a replicated Nutanix data store. That's what we generally use for SRM failovers. So I'm going to put it in here. This is where I will change the format to thin provisioning. Okay, then go next. I'm just going to use the simple VM network. This is a test environment. I don't have all my other VLANs, port groups, etc. Go next again. Okay, so as I mentioned in the before, you need to have all this information sort of prepared. So please make sure you document these passwords because you will need them. Okay. My NTP server is also my domain controller, DNS server, etc. So I will go with that. My host name. So please make sure you don't make a mistake. Yes, it's the Nutanix SRM02. I'm giving the short name because I don't have to give the FQDN because it will inherit the prefix. That's a prefix. Yep. Database password. I'm really not too sure what these two entities are, so I'm just gonna skip that. Maybe at a later stage I will sort of try and figure out what they are. My gateway is domain search, domain name is this, and the search order is also the same, and my DNS server is .50, and my IP address for Sydney, don't get this wrong, this, and this is CI DR notation, effectively the subnet mask, right? It's a 24-bit subnet mask, or 255.255.255.0. Okay, so go next. That's it, and let it happen. So you'll see it here. Now you can see the deployment happening down here. One thing which is easy is if you go, because in a production environment you will see the amount of tasks coming in here would be enormous, and you effectively can't track it. You know where your specific process is, where your at what stage your piece of work is. And I haven't had much luck doing filtering, right? So one of the things you can do is you can go monitor your tasks and watch how this is going, right? So that way you're very specifically looking at task which is relevant for this instance of work you're doing. While that is happening, is there anything else that we can do? So let's go back to our so we're doing the Sydney one, we got to do the Canberra one as well, right? Now, should I start that in parallel? No, if I start that in parallel, it kind of makes it a bit difficult for the people who are following the video. Don't worry about these errors that's coming. This is because I have deployed this backend is ESXi 8 with vCenter 8. There's some issues. It really doesn't impact what we are doing right now. Let's keep. While that's happening, I might show something else, which is the steps, right? Now, when I'm doing this work at every stage, after I pass a certain step and I confirm everything is good, I generally shut it down, take a clone and a snapshot, just because that becomes a stage recovery point I can go to. Now, if somebody's, I know some people wonder why a snap clone, because remember, snapshot is not a backup. Now, hence, because I have had this situation before in my previous life where, snapshot gets corrupted, which means the whole thing is corrupted. So that's now completed, the deployment. So now let's boot that appliance. And get a console. Let's get rid of these two. So as you can see, it's a flavor of Linux. I generally like to, I don't want to stop the video because there are certain things that you can pick up. So that effectively completes that install. Let's leave it like that for it to settle down. Now, if I go back to my nodes, so the default install is done, right? The appliance. Now, if I let me close these two. The way you manage the appliance is through, just give a bit of time, because it's generally this could happen because it's still starting the relevant services, right? I pressed the enter key, that's why I just went there. Generally this should be a blue screen with its relevant information, but let's give it a try now. Yep. So this is what we expect to see. This is the management interface of the appliance, right? Now if I go, yep. So this is just this SRM appliance is not configured yet. It's just deployed, right? For us to configure this or connect this to the vCenter, we got to go here, but I won't do that until I deploy the other appliance as well. So we just quickly run through some of these options. I won't worry anything about the certificates, etc. Just confirm that you got the right name. So to IP address is 150. Don't want this getting, that's Sydney. That's no, sorry, that's God, I got a bit of a shock. That's a DNS. So this is the IP address 49. So that's all good. Time, at some point you got to confirm that all this time is good. So yes, update. We will be using this quite a bit later, but I won't go into that now. And so we don't have a SRA adapter yet, right? So this we will come back later when we have to install that up. So now the Sydney one is done, right? Now let's go and deploy the Canberra SRM appliance 8.3 appliance version, right? Because I have the ISO already mounted, so I won't worry about that. So we go deploy appliance OVA, go in there, it still remembers that settings, open, next. Now, okay, let's go and make sure we get the right name. So this is Sydney, this is Canberra, and we want it to be called Canberra Central Nutanix SRA app. Okay, let's do it. And we are putting it in the Nutanix cluster within the SXI vCenter environment, the single node cluster. The single node cluster effectively running ESXi as the hypervisor. A little bit confusing, right? Nutanix, it's its own hyperconverged infrastructure or platform. Yep. Okay, let's accept. Next. Go with 2 vCPUs. Next. Again, similar to what I did in Sydney, I'm going to be putting it in the Canberra Nutanix storage container, right? And then make sure it's then provisioned. Next, put it in VM network port group. Next, okay, so let's get this right. DP server is host name is this one, right? Not app2, right? App2 was the VM name in the vCenter. Host name should be this one. And again, there is no FQDN because it will pull the domain name from the vCenter suffix, FQDN suffix. So Canberra and Center Nutanix app2. Okay. Okay, now we go back. As I said previously, I'm not too sure what these two are. We go static. Gateway is one. Domain is this. Domain name. Search suffix is okay. This way you gotta make sure you don't make these kind of silly mistakes. The domain name server is .50. IP address is 53, and this is a CIDR or the net mask, a number of digits of 24. It's 255.255.255.0. So many mistakes here. You gotta be careful when you don't rush. Those are silly mistakes by rushing, and the implications are huge because you'll have to redeploy if you make that kind of silly mistakes. It's very difficult to set up retrofit. Okay, so that's happening. I will, if I go there, go monitor task. Okay, because that's probably because it still hasn't started, right? Not sure why I'm not seeing any updates there. It's a little bit confusing. Yeah, there you go. Okay, it's probably catching up. So, now when these two are completed, we will move on to install the SRA adapter. So while that's happening, I think I showed you here. So you don't see SRA adapter here, right? So what we want to see is to get the Nutanix SRA adapter in there. While that's happening, I will software Nutanix SRA. So as you can see, I got these three are the Windows in the instances of SRA adapter, and this one is the appliance SRA adapter for the appliance install. Now all SRA adapters needs to be downloaded from the vendor. So if it's Nutanix, from Nutanix. If it's NetApp, it's from NetApp. HP, it's from HP. Or EMC, it's from EMC. Right. So that's finished in deploying the SRA appliance for Canberra. So now let's boot it up and go to the console. So that's a Sydney one. Just leave it there. And then when it comes up, we'll effectively go to the 5480. It's called VMI. Can't remember exactly what VMI stands for. But, okay, so that's where we're gonna hit when it comes up. And that's the interface, it's meant to come. Sometimes I've seen this happening, but I wouldn't worry too much about it, right? So I got 3.1, it's got build number. If we go there, might come up, might not, sometimes it takes time for the services to start and etc. So but I think I mentioned in a production environment, we'll just give it a little while for the service to start. You might not be able to hit this 5480 straight from the jump box UR, because 5480 is effectively VMware's common appliance administration portal, VMI. They call it VMI. And generally, it needs to be protected. Less people have access to that. It's safer. So many environments, many organizations would only open the firewall ports to this 5480 for appliances from very specific jump boxes where only a few people have access to, right? So make sure before you start your deployment that you have that those firewall ports are open. Okay, so because when you had the Windows instance, you didn't have that problem because you didn't have this kind of management interface. So at the appliance level, it's deployed now. We are not going to go into configuration of configuring the appliance now. Okay, no, I think what I said is after both appliances are configured, we will do this. Okay, so let's now go into summary and let's configure this SRM appliance to be connected or registered with its corresponding vCenter. So what you do expect to see is now I ran into some issues. So if you go into Site Recovery Manager, at the moment there is nothing here. Right. So see here, it's nothing here. Subversion, that's not what I intended. Site Recovery Manager, right? So what happens is after we finish this piece of work, you will see its corresponding Site Recovery Manager plugin appearing here, or the initial interface. So we go configure. Now this is where you give your vCenter information. So if this is the Sydney instance of the appliance, so make sure you select the Sydney instance. So Sydney, this is the vCenter slash PSC, right? So we go and next, accept the thumbprint. If you get to this stage, that means it has kind of established the communication. If you don't, I've seen situations where you get nothing here, then you are in a bit of a tight spot. And it could be firewall rule, it could be many other reasons, right? Then you got to start troubleshooting. But if you get to this stage, that means this SRM appliance has visibility onto the corresponding PSC slash vCenter. So we go accept the thumbprint. Okay, this is where you give the site information, SIDC, for SRM, right? I will just give whatever. It's not that relevant. Okay, this is one thing that you got to be conscious. Don't use a short name. Don't use the IP address. Go with the custom and give the FQDN. So this is Sydney, because if you give the IP address, because later on you'll be hitting through vCenter, you will be connecting to these SRM appliances. In you want it to resolve the names in a proper way, not through IP address, not through a short name, because IP address and short names can lead to trouble further down the line. So I go next. So that's okay. Go next and go finish. Yeah, so that bit is completed now for this Canberra appliance. So now let's do the same thing for the Sydney appliance, right? Sydney. Yep. Okay, so let's go to the Canberra one and just confirm you're on the Canberra one and do the same thing. Now find the Canberra's vCenter. Next. Okay, as I said, that's a good sign. So the thumbprint, and I would call it Canberra Central. Keep the email address. Don't use the short name or the IP address. Go with the FQDN, in this case Canberra. That, got that, okay, and finish. So while, well, okay, let's wait till that completes. Okay, that looks good. Now let's quickly have a look at, let's try and do a refresh. Yep, that has appeared. I won't worry too much about this because even with the Windows version, I have the same problem, right? Because I'm running ESXi 8, vCenter 8. I believe there is some sort of compatibility, sort of, this is now unsupported platform we are using. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to hit the DR. So effectively, if you went from here or here, you will be hitting here, you will be hitting the 5480. Here you will be hitting this interface. So it really, this is there so that you can access, drive all the integrated tools of vCenter from a single pane of glass, but there are fallback positions here. Now, I won't create the site pair yet because I want to install the SRA adapter, right? So for Sydney, the DR GUI interface is accessible. Then we'll do the same thing for Canberra as well. And as you can see, I expect it to work. Okay, right. So let's leave that as it is for now, right? Actually, on second thoughts, because I cannot demonstrate to you where the SRM appliance SRA adapter should be visible. So I'm going to configure this new site pair now. So let's go new site. So I'm on Sydney SRA, Sydney C platform. So this is the SRM local site, and here you got to give the second site, which is your remote site. In our case, it's going to be the Sydney PSC, right? Which is effectively, sorry, Canberra. We are already on the Sydney one, so that. If you're getting that, then that's a good sign, right? Okay, so because when we previously defined the sites, we defined the Sydney site as C and the Canberra as Canberra C. Sydney Central, Canberra Central. That's my naming convention. Okay, give it a little while, it will refresh. Sometimes you got to log out and log in back. Okay, so that's done. Now as it stands, now if we had enhanced link mode enable, you don't have to do this because each vCenter can see each other, but in this case I have not enabled enhanced link mode, so you got to log into the other vCenter because now you're talking across two vCenters, right? So at this point in time, up here it shows you the vCenter information. Here it shows you the SRM information, like what your SRM servers are, its version, and it's connected to each other. So now if you go storage application, this is where I want to show you right now, because we haven't installed the SRA adapters. You don't see any adapters here, right? So you don't see any, you can't see array pairs until the SRM can talk through the SRA onto the arrays, right? So now what we are going to do is we're going to go into SRM appliances, storage application. We're going to install the SRM SRA adapters, right? So as I said, SRA adapters gets downloaded from the array provider. So I have downloaded. So let me remove that, right? So when you download it from the storage provider, just delete that. You will effectively download the zip file with the version now. So now if I unzip it, right, extract all. So I got that, got this, right? Now this download generally has the admin guide and effectively the installation guide. Now if I open that, what you will see is configure store, configure, sorry. Here it tells you how to install. So effectively from, have a read of this and then giving you straightforward instructions on how to install this SRE adapter. So let me take you through what it's. Effectively, you need to pull this into the SRM appliance, right? Now, before I start that, I want to quickly show you something. This VMware's framework is SRA adapter will run inside SRM appliances as a Docker container. So let's quickly, before we install it, connect to the Sydney, that's Canberra, this is Sydney SRM appliance. Right, you can't connect, right? Because we haven't enabled SSH. So you enable SSH on this one, and I will do the same thing on the other one as well. Enable, right? So now let's try and connect again. Sydney load, okay. Accept the thumbprint. I already have it set up as admin. You log in as admin. Now, so you log in as admin, you need to do a sudo -i. So to see what Docker container, Docker images are present in this Linux implemented install, effectively the appliance is a Linux, right? You go Docker images, is nothing, right? If there was a Docker image, if you go Docker ps-a, it will tell you what's running. Now keep an eye on this, right? And see the change you will see after we install the SRA adapter. So the way you do the SRA adapter is you go in there, go new adapter, upload adapter, and we are effectively going to point to where we unzip that file, right? Zip file, and we're effectively uploading that. And this is where it effectively installs the SRA adapter onto the SRM appliance. Now when you finish, you will see this, right? Now if I go back to the SRM appliance, and if I do Docker images, you'll see the Docker images. Now if I go to PSA, that's the SRA Docker container running, just started 15 minutes ago, right? Now let's go back to Site Recovery Manager. We did it in Sydney, right? Do a rescan adapter. Just give it a little while. So can you see at the bottom in the task pane it says, so that it has now through the SRM appliance, it has identified that it has SRA adapter, and it's effectively showing you the SRA. Because it can't find its corresponding SRA adapter on the other side, it gives you this red, exclamation mark. Now, after we do the Canberra SRA adapter, you will see this going green, right? So let's go and do. So we've done that. Now let's go and do the SRA adapter for the Canberra side. Same. Says done. Let's give it a while for it to appear. That looks good. That's done. That's done. That's done. Now you could do the scan from here. Okay, we haven't done that. Yeah. After you create one site pair, you really don't have to do it again, right? Because if I do a refresh, see, I didn't. Okay, so now let's go and do this one and do a rescan. Continue. There you go, and you see it appears as green, and this goes green as well because now it's like can talk to each other, right? So now what have we done here? Let's have a look, right? Here we have deployed SRM appliance, and let me make that green, and we have installed SRA adapter. Now let's import the SRM configuration we downloaded from the Windows version, right? So let's go to, so this is the Sydney C, right? Just to make it cleaner, I like to log off and log in back. So let's quickly have a look at the, show you this Canberra SRM Nutanix yellow open. So, Canberra, okay, Nutanix SRM 2. And, Docker images, Docker PS yeah. I'm a little bit confused why there is two containers, right? It shouldn't. This is something I need to investigate. You know, I have this issue with NetApp. I have this issue with SRM, SRA implementations as well. I'm not 100% sure the implications for NetApp, sorry, Nutanix and NetApp, but there is definitely implications for SRM, SRA adapter for SRDF with Nutanix, and I have actually made a complaint to EMC about that, and they are working on it. So that's all good. Okay, so now the third step, which is another third step, which is effectively, so our adapter is done. Let's do that. Now import the configurator. Okay, so let's have a look at my colleague's notes on that. And where is it? Where is it? So this is where import the SRM data to SRM virtual appliance. Effectively, I need to copy the SRM data, SRM data we exported on the Windows, from the Windows implementation. So if I go here, I think I got SRM exports. What we need to upload is, we need to upload this folder into this folder into the Sydney appliance, and this folder into the Canberra appliance, and then effectively run through those commands, right? So let's do the Sydney one first. So let's copy through WinSAP, right? So we'll do the Canberra. Okay, update, login. Right, so I got admin folder. So what we're doing is the Sydney one, right? Yes, Sydney. Just double check that's the folder. Effectively, we're uploading it to the admin. Right, so that's uploaded to the Sydney. Okay, I'm gonna exit from here. Come back. Let's upload the to the Canberra SRM appliance. Canberra Nutanix login. Okay. So be careful, right? Now, why is it saying Canberra here? Did I do the Canberra one before? Why is it defaulting to Canberra? Yeah, I think I did the Canberra one. Okay, so guys, let's double check this, right? Canberra. This is where I'm trying to second guess myself, which is not really good. So Canberra was uploaded. Okay, because I'm a little bit uneasy, I am going back to the Sydney one. Nope, no, that's not the one. And I'm going to Canberra. No, Sydney SRM login, right? Continue. I'm a little bit concerned. So we go home, admin. Right, so I'm not sure where I uploaded that one. I'm a little bit disappointed about myself, but anyway, so C. Nah, I'm connected to the wrong one here. Okay, let me slow down here. In SAP, let's connect this. Okay, so yeah, went to the wrong one. C Nutanix login. Continue. Okay, right. Now, just going to delete this so that I am, because I wasn't sure. So, yes, it is. It remembers my previous setting, right? As Sydney A, and I'm doing that. Okay, good. All right, guys, I don't want to make a mistake here. So it's now both the previous Windows exports have been uploaded to the appliance. Now let's connect to the Sydney. Make sure you connect to the Sydney one. Nutanix SRM. Okay, Sydney C Nutanix SRM 02. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. Now the instructions we have, let me just pull that, right, is to sudo get into that folder and execute this command with the folder where we copied the file. Okay, so we'll do sudo I. Okay, so we'll go to in, right, and I'll do it just to make sure I got the okay, then got SRM, got that folder. Okay, good. So now I'll do import SRM sh and effectively this folder, because everything is inside that folder. Access the say yes. Let that keep going. I just want to keep this down here. I want to see if anything is happening on the task while this activity is going on. It's kind of a bit annoying, those other errors that appears constantly, right? Okay, so this is the password you gave when you exported the data. And the SSO authentication, effectively, this is the information I've mentioned to you that you need to have it ready. See what happens. So effectively what we're doing now is we're importing the previous configuration which was there when we had the Windows version of SRM and corresponding SRA. Because in a large complex environment, when you're going from Windows instance of SRM to the appliance version, it's not practical to completely rebuild everything, right? So I'm not sure whether you saw this happening here, right? You see ping storage array, there's a whole lot of activity that's happening. That is, for me, it's good news, right? That means it has imported the information and it is now sort of, starting to implement. Okay, so the last one, again, this is the information you gave previously, right? So far that looks okay, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the so can you see, ping storage array? So something is happening, right? Because I didn't do anything. There was no array pairs before. So now I want to do the same thing on the Canberra SRM classes. SRM Canberra Nutanix SRM. Okay, so make sure you don't make any mistakes here, silly mistakes, importing it to the wrong appliance or something like that. If you do that, to be honest, I have done this in the past, right? Where I sort of, rushing through, not in the production environment, test environments, right? Okay, so now sudo. So let's look at, so yeah, effectively put cd into opt VMWare SRM bin, right? So we'll do it to I think it's home admin. Okay, so SRM, right? Okay, so let's do the import now. So so before I start the import, I want to position myself into, that's okay, to the right vCenter. So we're going to go import, let's copy this folder here. Save this. So it's a password when you're exporting. And this is the SSO. So make sure, again, I told you before, have all this information ready before you start your work. Let's see what happens. Let's see whether we're going to see any task appearing like the one which we did before when we're doing the Sydney SRM import. Okay. Okay, we didn't see anything appearing on the task, right? But that doesn't mean, okay, there you go. Okay, we're seeing something. That's good, and it's paying the storage area. That is good. I'm happy that I can see that, right? So both instances are done, right? So now let's go to site recovery manager, right? Let's do a refresh. We may have to log in back because the certificates may have got refreshed with what it had before, right? So okay, so both doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. Summary. Let's go back in here. Right. We may have to re-log in. Okay. Fine. So far, so good. I mean, it looks okay here, right? So let's now try and connect it to the DR of Sydney. See, you have this string, large string there. I suspect that's a thumbprint, right? SSH validation. So it doesn't work, right? Because remember, we have imported from previous configuration, which I suspect also has certificates. So what I'm going to do here is, I had to do this in some of my previous, under different conditions, right? So I'm going to go reconfigure, and I'm going to go, this is in Sydney. Effectively, this is, we are sort of reconnecting back to the vCenter. It's good. Connect. Okay, custom. See, something is a bit different here. See, that's a site name. I didn't have that site name. That's not the site name I had, right? So I'm gonna go. This is the Sydney one, SydC, and I'm gonna give what I used to have before, and I'm going to go custom, and I'm going to go with the full FQDN, right? So make sure you get the right. Don't go and get the Canberra one on Sydney and so forth. We give it full register because it can talk to each other, right? But that's done. That's done. That's done. Custom. Go next. Okay, so that bit is finished. I will do the same thing on the Canberra. That's a PSC is correct. Canberra can. Next, connecting to that one. Okay, so this is again used to be Canberra. Oh, Canberra Central. Get that one and go custom, and make sure you get the Canberra one, not the Sydney one. And go next. close this one. Okay, just want to refresh it. I want to see whether I need to relog in. Yeah, so let's relog in. Just looks okay. Let's refresh this one. I expect to relog in. Okay, now let's try now. The Sydney DR. That is much better, right? And you see something here. One protection rule, one recovery plan, view details, connect. Okay, don't get too excited. Okay, now I'm not sure why it's not connected. Go storage replication adapter. SRA version mismatch detected. Right. Array pairs. And it has this. So it effectively imported stuff, right? But this is version is 3.0. Nutanix. And so let's give a rescan adapter because it could be picking up the previous information because we have imported the previous config. Now the other potential issue here is we are still running SRM 3.0, right? I'm going to pull the compatibility matrix because this was done in such a way that we eventually get to SRM 8.5, right? So I'm still not overly disappointed, but it still can see this stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's look at the protection groups, can see recovery plans, can see the, let's see, okay, can see the virtual machine, recovery plans, options are there, and in fact, it even uploaded the previous configuration. So let's go and have a look at, let's do a refresh here. I don't expect this to change. Yeah, I didn't expect this. The only thing is, we'll see, when we go 8.4, 8.5, this is going to change, right? Now, apart from that, I want to go shortcuts, host and clusters. That's our test VM, right? And then again, let's go shortcuts, clusters. That's our test VM. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to do I want to do a test failover, right? Go test, go next, and I want to see what happens recovery steps, right? I'm a little bit surprised that it happened so fast, but anyway, it's probably because there's no data change, right? There's nothing to replicate. So if this works for the time being, so my next step is, go and look at the compatibility matrix and see 8.3 is compatible with SRA 3. Probably not, but I know for sure 8.5 is compatible with SRA up to 3.0. So So far, so good. Okay, not sure what that is. Unable to unable to check whether the machine is or not. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So it's kind of, it still brought it up, right? I saw. Okay, so this was yeah, so test completed, but there was errors, right? That's okay. That's okay, right? So production is running. These are tests. This is up. Let's go and just have a look. Launch remote console. Yes. Just close these two. Let's see. Mhm. Server name is there, but launch console. If I'm not mistaken, I had given it a static IP address. So yeah, it's not connected. I know that, right? But I expected. This is not really that important for me here. But let's say this doesn't have one, then I understand. This is the source, right? This is the machine which is really on the network, right? This is the one which is failed over using SRM, which is running on a isolated network. So I don't expect. Okay, that's my mistake. I left it as DHCP. So come on. That is my mistake. I should have put a static address so that I can, yeah, that's right. So I thought I had put a static address here, right? And then if I have put a static address, I expected that static address to reflect on this side. But obviously when I keep it DHCP and this environment is isolated, it does not have a DHCP environment. So that's why it's not working. So now if I go do this cleanup, it will get shut down and it will go back to. So all in all, up until here, it is okay, right? Should I reconnect? No, I want to do. Sorry, version mismatch. I will do a Mr. Google search. What did I do? Appliance. Okay, so it's all gone back to what it was. So that means this should be shut down. Okay. So let me come back. I'll do a little bit of research to see why we are seeing this specific and whether confirming 8.3 is compatible with SRA adapter 3.0. Otherwise, we will move forward with 8.4 and 8.5 upgrade and see what happens. So I'll come back to, let me take a small break and come back to the video. So guys, I've gone to the compatibility site, right? Compatibility matrix, so on VMware, so I got 8.3, Nutanix, it's all right. Nutanix SRA. Now if I do an update here, so Nutanix SRA 3.0 is supported on SRM Photon 8688584. So it is supported, right? So I don't see any issues here. Like if I go 8.2 and we go update results, then it goes, it tells you, supports the Windows version with SRM 8.2 with SRA 2.5. Vice versa. So I'll just quickly check the 8.5, which is our final target, right? And it's all good, right? So I don't see an issue in a compatible sense. But one thing I probably won't mind trying is, you see it says not connected, and all this. Let's go back to our original issue, right? Original issue was why are we seeing this, even though the failover worked, right? So what I want to do is I want to just try this one here now. Go reconnect and do that. And Canberra, effectively, that's a enter the platform service control details of the VMware server, Canberra VSS, which is the same, right? Platform. Connect. Okay, that made a difference, right? That's good. Sometimes that happens, right? So let's go and have a look in here. Bingo. It appears. This is looking good. All right, guys. So we are making progress. So next step is to go. We sent SRM 8.4 and then 8.5. Okay. Let me stop this. I'll come back. Hi guys. So in the previous session, we effectively imported SRM version and downloaded from the SRM, Windows SRM, reconnect the new SRM implants back to the vCenter test original recovery plan. All that was successful, right? Some other things that we did is, so we reconnect the SRM appliances. Right, so now we're going to go ahead and do the SRM upgrade, SRM appliance to 8.4. Now in this instance, before I, in the production steps, I have a step where I take a clone, take a snapshot. I'm going to demonstrate in this video so that for seasoned VMware guys knows how to do this. But if you're kind of new to it, it's always good to know which button to press, what to do, etc. Right? So let's look at the environment again. So we got the SRM appliances now in both instances, right? We don't need this anymore, right? We really, we need it. We can come back to it. Don't need the site recovery plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to effectively shut both of these things down, right? In order to get prepared to make a snapshot and a clone, right? So let's do the Sydney one. So that's what we are referring to. Don't need that. Let's take it off. Okay, I'll just get the web console so that you can see the shutdown process, right? So that's what it looks like. That's the Sydney SRM appliances. You just say stop, right? You could do stop from here, or you could go here in guest OS. Now power, shut down guest OS, but I prefer to do it from here. Yes. So I would say stop, right? And watch this. You will see the appliance going down. Yep. So as you say, it's down, right? And you will say this is done as well, right? So let's look at this one. This app, remote, launch remote console. And go, that's a Canberra one. And this is the Canberra. Go stop. Yeah. Okay. I don't need these two because right. So now let me demonstrate how I would take a clone, right? So you go clone to virtual. I just do a clone to virtual machine, right? I would give a sensible name. So this is now we are cloning Sydney SRM. Say clone 01 because there will be multiple clones, and change number, change number 001, whatever, right? So you put your change number, right? That way, other people who's looking at the vCenter when we see this relates to the specific change. Now, before starting this, identify where you want to put it. So effectively, I would put it on the same cluster but on a different host, right? And I would also put it on a, okay, hang on, I didn't select the same cluster, but in my case, I don't have another host, but I would put it on a different host, just not that significant. Also, I would definitely not put it on the same data center, data store, right? So we're not putting on that one because that's a replicated one. Everything else is on. I'm just going to put it in there, but in your case, you should be putting it in a different data store because again, we are talking about backups. You don't want to put your production instance and your backup instead on the same tape, right? Common sense, right? And never assume that things won't go wrong. If we're doing this as an insurance, right? Uh, you know, you're not going to say that, oh, I'm not going to snapshot is fine because it never happens. You don't have the same attitude towards your car insurance or house insurance. You wouldn't take that risk, right? So why would it be different for commercial organization, somebody else's stuff, right? Okay, so anyway, put it on a different data store. Nothing to do here, no changes, and just finish, right? Again, if you go monitor, it's pretty fast, so you won't even get a chance to look at it, right? But you can go here and see clone to virtual machine completed. I think even on the events you will see that. Right, so clone is done. So that's good, right? And I have to see the clone. Now, the clone is my last fallback position, right? I'll still take a snapshot, right? So just go to manage snapshot just to see if you have any snapshots. I'll just generally do that, right? And then I go snapshot, take snapshot, and I give a description. Before SRM 8.4 upgrade. I put my name here. Because then it's easy for the person who's looking at the snapshot. Window made this. They can come and talk to me and say, hey, what was the reason, And then you just go and have a look, manage snapshots, and you will see there's one snapshot. That's good, right? So now you boot it up, power on, right? And you would do the same thing in the other instance. I will actually do that. I was not going to do it because it was just more demonstration kind of thing, right? But I will do it anyway. So I want to know what the snapshot name I gave here. Clone 01 change 001. So I will do the same thing here. Go clone to virtual machine. Clone 01 change 001, something like that, right? Put in the same node. Normally I'll put it in a different node and I'll put it in not you don't see that. Oh, sorry, one thing I forgot to do in the previous is I think I need a thin provision because I don't want it to take so monitor task, it's gone completed, right? Okay, that's good. And then you go snapshot, take a snapshot. You can look at the snapshot manager. There is nothing. You do it from here. Take a snapshot. Before SRM 8.4 upgrade. Done, right? So okay, snapshot is almost instantaneous. It's all good, right? So that's done, right? So and now we'll effectively bring this up as well. Right, now let's confirm that this is up. Looks okay. So while that is coming up, let's go and have a look at the software VMWare SRM. So we okay 8.4, right? And I will just go straight into this version, right? So I will leave it there. So those both are up. Just let's have a quick look to make sure after it was brought up that It's all looking good. No, that's looking good. That's looking good. Array pairs is all good. Devices are good. Yeah. Recover protection groups is there. Recover. So that's all good, right? Okay. So now let's do the 8.4 for the Sydney's appliance, right? So what you have to do is you need to connect onto the 5480, the management board. Come on, what are you doing here? 5480 login, right? So the way you take some information, screenshots of your existing version number so that you can confirm that everything went okay, and this is ready to the updates, right? Now there's two ways of doing it, either through HTTPS where you'll put the ISO, right? Or you mount the CD. Now I took the path of doing the CD because in some work environments it's not easy to get a HTTP URL with where you can put, you need a web server, certain very specific settings. For in my case, I have that kind of environment. Where is it? Here somewhere. I'll show it some other time. So now you got to mount the CD, right? So this is how it needs to happen. So let's go and do a remote control of the plants, the console, right? So you got the console here, right? And you're running it from this jump box. And in my case, my ISO is also on the same jump box. Now, please make sure you're not dragging the ISO across multiple hops and so on. So try and get it closer to where you're hooking, where you have your remote console. And then what you do is you go CD drive, connect to disk ISO, disk image ISO file, right? You say yes, and then you go and look for that ISO. So this is VMWare SRM 8.4, and I'm going with the latest I have here, right? So I'm just say okay. Just give it a little while, right? Give it a little while, and then you go and check again, right? Now you can see the ISO is mounted here, right? So that's the first step, right? Then you go back here, and now you say use CD-ROM, and just say okay, and just give it a while, little while, right? And there you go. Now you will see the mounted, and now you say install. Pretty straightforward. I mean, if you have this attitude of mount the CD, plus next, easy. 1 hour, half an hour, 1 hour, you're done. But that is not enterprise thinking. You always think, what happens if something goes wrong in a 0.1 scenario? You could be, it could be a catastrophe, right? If you're serious, if the organization is serious about this infrastructure, right? So it's never next. Always look at the worst case scenario. Now that's the difference between an enterprise engineer and a non-enterprise engineer. So go install, and now you just let it be. And just have on the side you have this one, and after a while you will see a lot of errors appearing here. That's when your SRM is sort of getting disconnected after the reboot, right? So just let it be like this now. Let it run. Okay. So while that is happening, I realized that I don't have 8.5 version of SRM Appliance. So I am going to download and figure out where I have it. So yeah, just unfortunately just have to keep an eye on that. Site. It could take a while. So I'm effectively going to download the latest version of Appliance, which is 8.5.0.7. Yeah, I have clicked that download now. It says 1.7 gig. We'll just pause the video for a little while till this gets a little bit further. So when you see that no connection, so when you start seeing these errors, that means it's sort of kind of beginning to reboot. Effectively, it's lost connection. Like if you can see, the version is 8.3. I'm expecting the appliance to start rebooting soon. So let's give a little while. Let's see what happens. There you go. That's what I expected to see. And then you'll see it coming up, and then the 540 GUI, 580 GUI will sort of reconnect back. There you go. Okay, so can you see it's gone to 8.4.0, and now we log into admin console. Okay, so this is the next step. So now you see the top message: to complete the update process, follow the prompts. So now you need to reconfigure. Effectively, what it means is you just got to reconnect back, right? So effective to Sydney, home services controller, yeah. Let's see, all the information is there, custom, there's nothing to change here, and finish. Uh, so you will see this message still. Refresh the screen and log in back, and it's on 8.4. This looks okay. Go to summary page, and you will see it's connected. Sometimes I have to do it twice, but in this instance it looks okay, right? So this is the Sydney SRM. This is so now if you, let's close this, right, and let's go to the DR URL. So with details, connect with the site. Now you look at here, right? So that's a Canberra, Sydney. You see 8.4. Says not connected. Not connected is down. So okay, one thing I kind of forgot to tell you, also should have mentioned. So let's first try and see this reconnect option, right? So do that. All that information is there. Reconnect, reconnect, reconnect. Okay, bingo. Right. That looks good, right? And see. Okay. So we took something I forgot, very important. Now I better put this down, right? Is import SRM configure, reconnect, test the original recording file, upgrade, take a clone. Okay, before doing that, take SRM export via the SRM GUI. So remember to do that, because we took a backup of the Windows version. That's how it was. Now, before every upgrade, make sure you do this. Export. So let's go export. Always do this, right? Because that's your ultimate restore option. So if something really goes, you deploy brand new appliance, and you can go import, and you can import, that export you did, right? So now Sydney is on 8.4, right? I would effectively, I mean, you could get to go nth degree and sort of, do a test recovery every time, every stage of your change. But in this instance, I feel confident that I can proceed to do the Canberra instance, and then I will do a test, right? So now what I'm going to do is Sydney, right? So I'm going to go to this Appliance, Canberra. That's the one, right? Appliance. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go here. Sorry, my apologies for that. It's a little bit bigger. Admin. So remember, we already took a clone and a snapshot, right, of both Canberra. No, that's a vCNS. Sorry, what am I doing here? Nutanix. Okay. Am I tired? No. Let's do this now. Yeah. Okay, so I got it. 3 update. I don't need this for the moment. Okay, something I forgot. So cancel this, right? Before I do that, go to the Sydney, go to this appliance. No, you don't have to do it from there. Go here, settings, and make sure you disconnect the CD. Otherwise, it has implications because it kind of slows the machine down. VMware sort of changes certain parameters as soon as you mount ISO from the remote console. So now we go there, fire up the remote console for the Canberra SRM appliance, mount this ISO. Again, we are going with 8.4 latest. Okay. Give a little while. Confirm that it's mounted. Yep, that's good. Go to the Canberra 540 interface, WEM interface, that's that. Go update, edit, CD-ROM. Okay. Just give it a while. Let's see where my download is. Okay. So that looks good. And go install. Accept the end user license agreement. And now just leave it like you saw last time. It took a bit of time now. Looking for my no, that's not the one. We looked at that before. I'm looking for my 8.5 download. That one. Okay, I have my download completed. I better put it in the right place. Oh, goodness me. Just gotta be patient. Be patient, guys. I'll just pause the video for a while. So you can see now the appliance is rebooting. I'm doing some background work on this lab. So it's kind of getting hammered. That's why you're seeing the response time a little bit poor. So what we should expect to see is in a little while the Canberra appliance will be back with the 8.4 version. So just let's give a little while. So guys, as you can see, we are on 8.4 now. Let's log into the Canberra appliance, and like the previous instance, you got every time you upgrade the appliance, you effectively got to reconfigure it, right? So if you go in here, you don't see the vCenter. So you go configure, next, connect, next, connect, and confirm this setting customs, and you should be good to go, right? Now end up this. Now you effectively have done both sides. Now you test your failover. Make sure the failover is okay, or recovery plan, execute the recovery plan. And then when you're happy with that, shut down both instances, and then delete the snapshots, right? So refresh the interface and log in back, and you see it's good. Connected to the vCenter, it's running 8.4. That's the recovery path. And you'll see 8.4, 8.4, 129. Let's do another refresh to see whether it's going to work. If not, do a reconnect. Yeah, that all looks good, right? So got this one here. This is the placeholder. Where's the placeholder? That's the placeholder. So now what I'm going to do here is just to, so we don't need this one. Okay, here we go. Make sure you dismount the CD. That's important. close it. Right. Okay. Okay, I need to get a static IP address. Let me go into my IPAM environment and pick up IP address. So this one to ping. I mean, I picked this up from my iPad, right? But I still just want to confirm, right? Okay, so I got it's a server. I go remote console. So what I want to show you is, right, when just every demo I do, I will sort of try and pick up something new, a small step that will sort of eventually add value to you. Settings, so if I go now here, right, I ping the gateway. That's right. If I ping my jump box, works. Hey, why is that? Okay, it's gonna be a little bit. Let's see. It's not sure whether. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I was just curious, right? What I'm going to do is what I want to demonstrate is 128.120, and what is the IP address? It's 42. Right, 168.121. What I want to demonstrate is when this server is failed over. I just remember I just did the change, right? I want to see on the recovery side that IP address is reflecting. So let me close this one I don't need. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm in the production group. We have a virtual machine, recovery plan. I'm going to do a test effectively. And here I'm going to replicate recent changes to the recovery. So this will pick up that IP address change that I just did now. And recovery steps. Let's see how it goes, right? While that's happening, I have downloaded the 8.5, so I don't need to. So it's effectively synchronizing the. That's why, because there was some changes done, right? So don't need to say that. So I got 8.5 available. So while this is happening, so this whole exercise was for me to test. In order, this is my colleague who's intending to do a Windows SRM upgrade from Windows 8.2 Nutanix SRA update 2.5 to eventually SRM Appliance 8.5 with SRA laptop Nutanix 3. So effectively, I think I have sort of demonstrated that that process works as documented by the vendors. It's always good to have a little bit of practice. Production environment is not a practice environment. You have production implications if it doesn't work. And doesn't matter how much experience you have, you always have curveballs everywhere because every environment is different. So I mean, having done this doesn't necessarily mean everything is going to be perfect in production environment, but at least you know what to expect, and you have some better understanding, because these are not things that you do day in and day out. So the good thing is, in me doing this video, when somebody else in my colleague's organization or any other organization is doing something similar, they can learn something, I hope. I know it's a long video, but you don't have to watch it at normal speed. One thing can watch it at 2 times speed. Also, you can skip. Okay, so now it looks failover successfully. And when you go back here, you will see the failed over VM. Now let's go remote console. What is that? Do you want to proceed? Yeah, I know that you can't modify that because it's that's fine. This is, I think this is the production one. So hang on, now I get confused, right? So better, both are gone. Yes. Let's log in. So yeah, so as you can see, IP address is there. I mean, even if I put in the gateway, I don't think it will work because there's no gateway. It's an isolated network, right? So I'm just gonna leave it there, and then we go here and do a cleanup, and all that will disappear, right? So what you will see is, it's already shut down. And you will see this, it's already shut down. It's pretty fast, and it's done. Cleanup is done, right? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm effectively going to shut both these SRM appliances down. These two down, right? I'm going to leave the snapshots, but I'm going to merge because I don't want to have a snapshot over a snapshot over a snapshot. Then it creates all these delta files, locks the product. I mean the original VMDK is already locked, right? And it can create complications when if you have when you eventually try to merge. I want to make sure it's clean. So what we are going to do now is go into the DR instance. No, sorry, that's not my intention. No, I was going to go to the WAN interface. 5480 admin. I want to stop, right? Effectively, I'm shutting it down, right? And then do the same thing for the Canberra one. Admin and stop. Effectively shutting down. Right now, if I look at you see it's shutting down. It's down. This will soon you'll see it's shutting down as well. So that's now down, right? We have the previous clone. Now if you go to snapshots, right? Look at manage snapshots. There's a snapshot. I'm not going to go through snapshot, files and how snapshot works, etc. At this point in time. I'm sure there's plenty of. So what I want to do is go snapshots. So let's do it here. Delete all. So when you say delete all, say this will consolidate and remove all snapshots from this virtual machine. The snapshots will be consolidated to a single list. So effectively what it's doing is it's merging all the changes. That's what you want, right? I don't want to revert to a previous instance, right? Because everything looks good. So I'm effectively consolidating and the snapshot will be gone. From a snapshot point of view, I cannot revert back. So I say delete all, right? So again, if you go to monitor and task, so longer you leave, longer it will take to merge, because what happens is you got your primary VMDK. As soon as you take a snapshot, the primary VMDK gets locked, and then it creates a .0001 VMDK, and all changes are going into that new snapshot VMDK. When you delete and when you save, you want to merge, it takes everything from that and merges with the original VMDK. Now, longer you leave that 001 and then subsequently 002, if you have another snapshot, it's longer and it takes longer to merge. So that's why generally VMware's best practice is do not leave any snapshots more than for 2 days, because the consequences, the downtime is longer. So while this is happening there, I'm just going to go to the other one, which is this. And if you look at snapshots, manage snapshots, you have one snapshot. I'll just say delete all. And yes, and then you go monitor, task, you will see it's merging, right? If you go back to this one, it's now 36% merge. So yeah, so in this one, the snapshot merge is finished. Now if you go again back to snapshots, manage snapshots, you should not see any more snapshots. Okay, so I'm going to boot this up now, right? Just to confirm and demonstrate to you that even after, removing the snapshots and merge, that we are on 8.4, just for your, comfort. While that's happening, it's still merging the console. This is just to demonstrate that, how that snapshot delete worked, right? Because I'm going to shut this down after this one and then take my second clone, because the first clone was when it was on 8.3, and now this clone is going to be on 8.4, right? So as you can see, it's still on 8.4. It's all good. I'll close this. It's still happening. Gonna move on that. This is Sydney. That snapshot deletion is completed. You go back here, look at the snapshot, and a snapshot. There shouldn't be any snapshots, right? Again, I will just put this up just to confirm that it's all good. Now this is Sydney, which I just booted up. Log in. So you can see this is it. Oh, now I'm shutting it down again, right? Because I want to take a snapshot. and a clone. This is Canberra. It's still coming up. Let it be. Sydney is shutting down. No, actually Canberra is booting up, right? So let's go remote console. Close. Yep. So it was shut down. Snapshot was merged and rebooted at 8.4, right? Okay, that's now down because this is still not. Wait till this comes up. Yep. So this is the Canberra one, SRM. This is Sydney is already down. Canberra is up. That's why it's up 4. Stop. Okay, so now effectively I'm shutting down both, right? So this is down, this is going down. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to make the second clone. Now, again, I won't do this now because that was to demonstrate. But in reality, when you're doing the production, you will do that, right? And that's down, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring both these things up now, so that we can go to 8.4, right? Just for production, I wouldn't do this. I would take a clone, but I'm here. Right, if something goes wrong, I'll just destroy it, right? And redeploy. Take a snapshot. I would say backup before doing 8.5 upgrade. Right, so create the snapshot. It's done. That's again snapshot. Take snapshot. Okay, so now I've taken snapshots on both instances. I'm going to bring them back up. Boot up. And then let's also boot this up. And when those things are up, we will proceed with the 8.5 upgrade. So both SRMs are up after the reboot. So now what I'm going to do is, let's look at the Sydney one. Probably could do it simultaneously. Nah, don't be complacent then. So just do one at a time. Don't try to rush these things, right? So we go media, CD, image. This is 8.4. We're going only 8.5. We are not going 8.6, right? While that's happening, we could also mount it to the Canberra SRM. Media CD. Actually, I won't do that because I'm mounting it to the same SRM. I don't want to take any chances. Yeah, so let's not do that, right? So now, again, this is Sydney. We're going 5480, right? That's Sydney, that's Canberra. Okay, I don't have to. Okay, so admin. Right. Obviously, take screenshots, everything before you go from one step to the other one. So 8.4, you go update, you go edit, go CD-ROM, and okay, and just let it connect to the CD-ROM. And you see here, and you go install. Beyond the license agreement, go install. And okay, so I'm not sure whether you observed, it immediately went for a reboot, right? So this is not the install. I think on the 8.5, what I have noticed, it does a reboot. So have a look now when it comes up, right? it does a reboot just to make sure that it's fresh, and all the residual has been sort of like in Windows World, sometimes we like to reboot a box before you do any upgrade because it could be stuck processes, yeah. So as you can see, it didn't do any upgrades, right? It just back at 8.4, right? So leave it like that, and if you have a look, you will see the media is still mounted, right? So I think it's a precautionary step that VMware is taking. And if you go back, you will see nothing has changed. It's still 8.4, 8.4 update, and it's still there, right? So now you go install again, accept, install, and now just keep eye. Now it will take longer than previously, similar to what it took from 8.4 to 8.3 to 8.4. So let's just keep eye. Let's come back. As you can see, I stopped the video, but it did take quite a bit of time, so probably 20 minutes. So don't be impatient. Do not try and sort of reboot the appliance assuming that it's hung or something. Just leave it. Just let it be. And generally from 8.4 to 8.5, it took a bit longer than I anticipated, right? So the simple advice is, after you initiate the upgrade, just leave it. Now, as you can see, it's come back to 8.5.0. So this is the final target version. This is the latest version of 8.5 that is available, right? So now when it completes, so you go win configure, looks 8.5. You go reconfigure like you did before. Next, finish, and just let it be. And then when this settles down, we'll do the Canberra instance of 8.5, and then we are done, right? And then always remember, end of each upgrade, take an export of your configuration. And in a future video, I will show you how the 8.5 SRM has a mechanism where daily, weekly, you can run a cron job inside SRM appliance to dump the configuration, and that is something absolutely we have to do. So go refresh, admin login back, and bingo. So we are 8.5, you go summary tab, it's all connected, right? So if you want to go to the DR instance or DR URL, what you will see now is you'll see 8.5 and 8.4, and you got storage adapters both good, array pairs good, devices all good. So looks good. We didn't have to do a reconnect or anything like that this time, like the previous instance, right? So now this is the Canberra admin. So close this one, Okay, remember, important. Make sure you dismount the CD. So if we go CD, settings, disconnect and close. Right? Always be patient. Don't rush things. That's when you start making mistakes, right? Yeah, done 8.4. Mount the CD. 8.5, this is the version we're going to. Give it a bit of time for it to mount. Then double check. Yep, that looks good. Now go to the, so that's a Canberra update. And oh, okay. Didn't kind of expect that because I can't recall doing this switch. So obviously go install, right? So let's have a look. What we saw last time was it did a quick reboot. It did not proceed with install until it did a clean reboot. Looks a bit different here now. Maybe it's looking for certain other parameters, certain utilization of memory, CPU. If it's below a certain point, I don't know. I don't know the logic that it takes. But in this instance, it looks like it's moving ahead with the 8.5 upgrade. Whereas in the previous instance, and I have seen my previous, other environment upgrades, it had done the reboot. So anyway, let's come back. I'll pause the video for a while. Again, it took a while. So it's now rebooting. And on end of this would be SRM 8.5 done. There you go, that looks good. Now we wait for the 548 to come online. Yep, admin, and reconfigure so that it connects back to the vCenter. Sure. Super. Probably not. Easy. Easy. Yeah. As you can see, you should refresh it. Login back. And if you go, you'll see it's connected to the vCenter. So that's if you are effectively done with the. Now just do a refresh again on the DR. You see not connected. We've seen this before, right? We'll do a reconnect again. Yep, and we're effectively done, right? Now what you do is the last thing is we'll do a test, right? You got the virtual machine. We'll do a test. In fact, I might. That's a Ubuntu server. I just want to see where it is hosted and which data store. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of do a storage version of this Ubuntu, right? Migrate, change storage only to, I'm going to put it in here. And let's monitor how long it's going to take to, when it's migrated, right? We will boot it up and we will initiate a failover. Now in this time it will take a bit longer because from what I can recall, Nutanix replication schedule is one server similar to NetApp default. Okay, so now let's, so if I look at the data stores, right, look at this one and look at the VMs, we'll see two VMs. Yep, okay, it's fine. Let's boot this Ubuntu server. Get rid of this one. Okay, there you go. Forgot something. Settings. Okay, and close it. And okay, if I'm not. Yep. Just what's up here? This guy got 20.8 and 20. Yeah, sorry, it's on the local line. I'm just gonna leave it here. I don't have to do that. Now let's go on to the other side, and as you can see, you got a placeholder for that one, and we don't have a placeholder for the Ubuntu server, right? So we don't need this one, we don't need this one. Let's go protection groups. That's why it has that configuration issue 1. So let's have a look at the virtual machine, mapping machine. Okay, let's have a look what mapping is it missing. Configure remote protection place. Remote protection recreate placeholder. So it needs a placeholder, right? Placeholder. What do you mean placeholder not found? Okay. least. Nope, that's not what I intended. Recreate placeholder. Recreate placeholder. Yeah, I know placeholder VM is not found. Yeah, so sometimes you have to do that. So one of the things I had to do is, sort of go remote protection configure, sorry, and you configure one of these elements, right? For example, resource folder, and then everything comes good, right? So now if I go and have a look at refresh, see, you will see that's the Ubuntu. It's too small to see that. So let's initiate this failover now, right? Call plan, failover, do a test, some changes. So this will take a while now, right? I can't expect it to take longer because it has to replicate that Ubuntu server. So let's so the application's finished. Now it's writable snapshot on the Canberra data center on the storage array. You could see the Ubuntu server coming up and also this one coming up, right? So if you go here, see it's almost at the tail end of it. So that's good, right? This is what we expect to see. When this completes, I will clean it up. I won't read the snapshot today. Just leave it for a day or two, and then I'll merge it. So the test completed. We saw that, right? So you see both this Ubuntu and Windows Server up. You see the different icon. It's a placeholder icon. That's all good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up, and then we're done for today. Until next time we get another challenge. So as you see, it's all good. Shut down, and it's done. Finish. Okay, so we are done in this exercise, and we'll effectively do a document and also get the video sort of cleaned up and published somewhere, not sure where. Hope you guys learned something out of this. Thank you.